Hello, everyone. We are letting our participants join and we'll be starting the webinar in about a minute or two. Hello, everybody. We are letting our participants join and we'll be starting the webinar in about 90 seconds. Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, my name is Eric Danoff, and I'm the Director of Demand Generation at SalesScreen. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to join our webinar on the 8 steps to sales competition success. We have an educational session planned for you today, and we hope to have some fun along the way because sales competitions are and should be fun. Before we begin, I have a few housekeeping notes to share. All attendees are being listened in view-only mode. Today's session is being recorded. And you may ask, today's webinar will include a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. But just so you guys all know, you may ask a question at any time during today's webinar. To ask a question, you're going to go ahead and click on that nice little Q&A button on the Zoom toolbar that we are highlighting on the PowerPoint. And you just need to type your question there and then click the send button. Note, only I and the speaker today can see your questions, and then I'll read the question on your behalf. Also, I will be sharing some links in the chat window, so look out for those. Lastly, we will also be running some Zoom polls, so we can hear from you all and get to know you, the audience. So with that, I'm going to be running a quick icebreaker poll to make sure you can hear us and you know what to expect when we run polls later on. So this poll is very, very relevant to all of us today, considering many of us have been or are still working remotely. So I'm going to push out the poll now, and you should be getting a blinking notification in your Zoom toolbar. So I'm going to launch that poll right now. And the question is, what is the strangest thing you've done while attending a virtual meeting? So please go ahead and answer that quickly right now, and just let us know that you're in the audience. And please note, the responses to this question are anonymous, so please note. If you're okay. Yeah, I understand if you guys might not feel comfortable with that. So great. I am guilty of the leading #1 contender as well. So I won't deny it. So let's go ahead and give about 2 more. Let's see. We have a few more seconds. Let's see if anyone else can last many participants. All right, let's go ahead and close that poll now in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to end that poll. And just so you know, we're going to go ahead and share the results. So it seems like many of us, the #1 strangest thing you've done while attending a virtual meeting is going to the restroom. Which, I mean, I guess when you're on Zoom calls or to Teams calls or all sorts of collaboration calls that you just need to sometimes run to the restroom. So I'm glad everybody knows that you got to go on mute. So at this time, I would like to introduce our speaker for today's event, Nuno Pereira, Vice President of Sales for APAC over at SalesScreen. Nuno will be sharing the pitfalls and best practice we have identified and gleaned for over tens of thousands of competitions our clients have run our platform and the steps we internally follow every time we run one of our own contests. So welcome, Nuno. So glad to have you join us today.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you for your introduction. And I'm really excited to be here today with the rest of the audience. I hope this will be a great fun today. It will be good for sure.
Oh, I'm sure it is. So to kick off today's webinar, Nuno and I thought we'd run another quick Zoom poll to hear from you as to what are your biggest pain points to running effective sales competitions. So please note, it is multiple choice, so you can pick more than one answer. And so I will be pulling up that poll again right now, and you'll be seeing it in the Zoom toolbar. So give me a second, and here we go. We are launching that now as we speak, and we're gonna actually play a little music for you guys. Come on, some results are coming in. The more the merrier, guys. We want to hear from you.
Absolutely.
There we go. More and more participants. There we go. Wonderful. Keep it up, guys. Let's see. 5 more questions. 5 more seconds. Okay, let's go ahead and end that poll right now. And so let's see what's here and share the results, everybody. So it looks like, everybody, the number one reason is for the biggest pain point to running effective sales competitions is that outperformers always win. And now we have in a close second running the same competition over and over again, Nuno, and prizes and word types don't motivate everyone. So let's go ahead, and I think this is a perfect segue for you to take it over from here and give some more context as to those pain points as to why sales competitions are designed to fail. So take it away from here.
Cool. Yeah, look, absolutely. And it's great to see the results, because it really helps us here in terms of framing the conversation. But as we will see, right, I think that we are really on, the participants are really on the spot here in terms of why do they think that the competitions fail as well. So we identified here these 5 major reasons why this competitions doesn't work anymore, and the first one is interesting, but it's all about the visibility, right? So this is an important topic that we see a lot of our customers mentioning it, because in order for having a better engagement and be much more attractive for the reps, it's important that they know the progress where they are. It doesn't work if in the end of the week or in the end of the month for the competition you get a report or an email stating where is your position for that competition. What it will be good is to have that in real time. Otherwise, the people or the reps, they just decided to not engage on that competition because they don't know in where they will be in regards to their colleagues. The next one is exactly one that was mentioning here, is the same competition over and over again. It's boring when we are looking for a competition that wants to excite us and motivate us to participate. And then, it's all about the same old thing. It's all about, more revenue or more logos in the end of the month. We need to meet this target. And the truth is, this doesn't motivate at all the team, because the only ones that will participate in this traditional format, it's only the ones that they know that they will win. The other ones, they not even not participate, but they really get demotivated. Those performers that are reaching typically 60-70% of their quota, they don't even bother to that. They know that this format will come again next month or next quarter. So they just decided to hold it. And when they have a chance to win, then they will try to win. So, but again, not with the excitement, but with the goal of trying to get the competition in. Third one is also mentioned in here, that is all about in this case, the impersonal prizes. This is a very huge pitfall, especially for the managers, because when we're talking about, hey, you know what? I love football and I'm a big fan of Cristiano Ronaldo. Sorry about, the Messi fans, but I'm a very big fan of Cristiano Ronaldo. So, I'm sure that if I make a competition where I will send a journey for menu with CR7 in there, everybody will love it. Well, that's not necessarily true, right? People maybe don't like football, or they are just the Messi fans and they like other type of entertainment that it doesn't make sense for them. So it will be much more fun and much better, instead of putting the manager effort to identify what would be the prizes, to let the people select the prizes that they wanted to be rewarded on the competition. This is really, really important, and a very tricky one for the management.
There might also be some Zlatan or Erling Haaland fans out there. So, or Neymar.
Exactly.
So,
absolutely. Absolutely. So, the other one is the repetition fatigue. That is a little bit related with the traditional format, because since that we don't have too many tools to do something different, we end up doing the same old format over and over again. And this repetition means as well that if you do a competition with a specific format for you, let's say to get more logos or get new logos, right? And if you do it very well in 1 month, it doesn't mean that in the next month will work the same, because eventually the reps end up, let's say, draining all their contacts, all their network to achieve that goal for that specific competition. So if you do it the same competition over and over again, you should not expect different results. By the way, this is also the definition of insanity, right? Is to keep doing exactly the same things and expect different outcomes, right? So you should be worried about that. Last but not least, it's all about the metrics. There is a very fundamental aspect here as well. A lot of managers, they have, let's say, a long-term metric, like, closing, reaching that target, hitting that target, and they make it in a very short time frame. And the other thing also happens the other way around, is when you have to increase the number of calls, increase the number of opportunities in your pipeline. So increase the early stage metrics in your pipeline, and then you make a huge competition in terms of duration. And, if you have a 1 month to do a competition on the number of calls that you want to do and reach out to new prospects, you don't have the same constant type of engagement all the time. It's way too long. You have attention eventually when the competition starts, and then throughout the middle of it, nothing happened. And when it's about to finish, people will focus again because they are lagging behind, and so they wanted to do, right? So this type of gap, it means that people lose focus, they are not consistent, and they are not engaged all the time. And this is fundamentally the 5 reasons why this sales competition failed miserably, to be honest.
Excellent, excellent. That's some really good information. And I think it's now time to actually move along to why our audience is here today. And that's to learn to run the actual what you need to know. What are the 8 steps to sales competition success? And before I do that, I just want to remind the audience, you guys can ask any questions at any moment as we go through this presentation, and we'll make sure we cover them at the end. But at this moment, I think Nuno will take this on. Let's get started on what are the 8 steps you guys really need to know. So take it from here, Nuno.
All right, cool. Absolutely, man. So, the first thing that we really advocate, and we really believe it's important for us to do, is to have a mechanism where you look at the data that you have and the KPIs that you want to drive. And with that, you need to identify where are the gaps. And the gaps mean where you want to be and where you are in real life, right? So it's all about, this is my target in terms of achievements, and this is where I am. And this is important that the management spend this time looking at those KPIs. And these KPIs are not all, let's say, quota driven, right? It can be different activities that your sales team is doing. And if we are talking about software, maybe we're talking about, booking meetings with customers, doing demos, do POCs. But if we are talking about real estate, we might be talking about visiting to new apartments, bring customers in to visit a second time, or in an automotive industry, we might be thinking about doing some test drives. Where is the metric that we should be in terms of the test drives and where we are today? This type of KPIs that are not necessarily revenue driven are very important for you to understand it, to make this gap analysis. Once you do that, then is when you need to refine these metrics. So this is when you need exactly to understand, this is where my team can help. You know, if I drive more test drives, I will sell more cars. If I do more demos, I will get more sales in terms of customers and new logos and revenue. So this type of identification based on the gap analysis that you have done, it's critical for you to identify if you want to go after some early stage metrics that would be short competitions in terms of duration by definition. And if it's sometime in terms of the end of the funnel type of metrics that you want to drive, then you might have to have a different type of competition as well in terms of duration. So if you don't know exactly which type would be, or if you are not certain about, you can just simply create a competition where you have a point system. Depending on the activity, booking a meeting or making a demo, you can give different points for this type of activities. And in the end, your KPI will be the overall sum of these points. So this is just another food for thought. Next, timing. I briefly talked about timing just previously, right? So this is important. And what we advocate is that it's good to be shorter, okay? The shorter the competition it is, the more effective it will be, because the team will be engaged 100% of the time, and that is your goal. You want all the team engaged all the time. And if you do it in a very long duration, it might lose that focus, as the example that I previously mentioned in terms of the reasons. So you want to be really, really short and sharp. And just for you to have an idea, I have here some numbers that, you know, give us that competitions that are shorter than 4 days, they have an increase in about 92% of the activities. Against the competitions that are between 8 and 14 days, they only see it 44% of impact. So you do see the impact, but if it's shorter, you have a more effective achievement, okay? So we identify the KPIs, we identify the timing, the duration of it. Now it's time to set up these parameters. And the parameters is all about what should we have to do for our sales competition. It's very common that the companies only do one, right? But the question is why? Why don't you create different competitions in order to be able for you to engage everyone in the team, right? You can have some individual competitions, yes, for the individual reps to see within his team where they are standing and see if they can win that competition. You may want to have as well some competitions for the teams or for the departments. Example, you can have a competition to see if Singapore sells more than Malaysia or more than Thailand, or, you know, or APAC versus US. You can do this fun thing in order to involve everybody, right? And you can also do a competition that, in fact, you can just, whatever will be the activity that whatever employee do, it can count as a possibility to win. So you can level the play field in terms of making the chance to everybody that contributes to the business to get a chance to win. So if you see a lottery system, that will be perfect for involving everybody in the company, okay? So everybody counts in the company. Every individual has his own way of being motivated. Create as many competitions that you need to make sure that everyone is competing, okay? Next one, that is a very important aspect, to be honest. So the leaders here, they need to look at, all right, so the top 20% of the performance, they will always compete. They will always want to win. That's fine. But what about, let's say the second one, you know, this 50% performance. If you make sure that you motivate them to compete with a point system, with some rewards they can win, even if they don't win the competition, but if they get like, you know, a notch up, this will contribute significantly to the performance of the team as well. So this is something that is really important, that you create, let's say, this way of creating a mechanism where you get points like the Formula One or the golf or the tennis, where, you know, even though if you don't win that race on the F1, you got some points that counts tremendously for you as a driver and for your team by the end of the season. So even though you're not winning, but you want to compete, If you are in fifth place, you want to go to the fourth. If you are in 10th place, you want to go to ninth. And you always keep driving forward, even though you may know that you will not win that competition, but it will count. You will make it count. And that's why we want to involve everybody as sales leaders. We want to involve everybody in the competitions. Okay.
And that's a really good point, Nuno, because we actually participated in a competition recently, and that was a company I won, and we'll probably talk about a little bit more later in this webinar. But I definitely knew that I was not going to win that competition, but I definitely wanted to participate. And even though I was definitely not a top performer of it, it definitely got me engaged and motivated to try and do a little bit more. So we can talk a little bit more a little bit later. But I do want to mention to everybody, this is a really great opportunity to let you guys all know that it's actually between steps 5 and 6 that we shift from this whole idea around planning. A lot of what has been talking about, the planning, the setup, the preparation. Now it's time to start talking about the execution, the people management from a leader perspective. How do you start rallying your team and getting them excited to compete and participate in the competition that you've set up? So, Nuno, take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, so up to now, let's say these 5 steps, if we think about it and you step back, is really just about the team leadership. It's about the manager that is seeing where are the gaps, how can I structure this and that, and preparing the stage, right? Now it's the time that if you like football again, and I know I'm a big fan, but it's like the time that where the coach is saying, guys, okay, we will start this competition. Let's start strong. Let's keep focus. The next 90 minutes, we need to win this game, right? So this is the frame that when you want to compete as a football player, or that's what the coach does. And this is also what we definitely advocate that the sales leaders do to his own team. It should be very clear and communicated to everybody what is the competition or competitions all about. Let's keep focused, because this will not take forever. It will be maybe one day, like the example that Eric just mentioned that we did last month, but could be 1 week or can be just a couple of days. Whatever it is let's keep the team focused on this competition to drive those KPIs, to really see the impact on it. Otherwise, it will not be effective. Okay, so it's important that we set up the stage to have a very good motivation talk with the team and make sure that they start really, really strong. Next. I guess this talks by himself. So all we need is love. I always hear this since I'm a kid, but it's all about during the competition. Let's not forget about what the team is doing, right? Again, if it's very short for the company, for the reps, it's also short for the managers to take this opportunity. So don't waste this opportunity as leaders to recognize the effort of the reps, to recognize the effort of the team, to, say it loudly. It's okay to say, look, the reps, of course, they are doing this. Like anybody that is on the sales organization will definitely understand this for me, that it's all about 2 things. One is money, that is naturally important. The other one is recognition. And definitely we see that this is a two-factor issue here. That is, the reps that have recognition from their leaders, they will produce more. And in opposition, if you don't have that recognition, they demotivate and eventually leave the company, and you don't want that. So it's important that during the competition, recognize the effort, celebrate the small wins, because if you ask the team to do that and they are doing that and you have that visibility, so if you have the visibility for you to know exactly what they're doing, take advantage of that and recognize that. Recognize the effort, celebrate with them, bring others to celebrate and share. That will definitely drive a much more positive atmosphere and culture within your organization. Last but not least, the last step. It's all about a recursive process. It's not about it's done, game over, let's think about this, about next quarter. This is, let's say, maybe this type of spiff mentality doesn't help. You see, what it's great is if you have the chance and you have all these data points about the KPIs, about the execution, about the contribution of each one of the team. So you should, in the end of the competition, you should have a way to debrief, to say, look, this is what we did very well. This is what we need to improve eventually next time. But whatever it is, again, celebrate together. Talk with the team and say, you did very well. This guy or this lady from this team, maybe this didn't work as we were expecting, and we didn't have the outcome that we were expecting. Maybe it's the model or the type of competition that didn't work out as we were expecting. It's okay. If you have a way to iterate this very quickly and then do something different from the next time, do it. You know, that's why we have here this challenging kind of statement as well in the end. It's good to try something new. Don't be scared to try something new. If you have the tools and the mechanism to do something different, by all means do it, you know? And I think this is something that is really, really important. And we did this in our blitz that you just mentioned, Eric. In that day, right? We did several competitions to drive fundamentally meetings, right? Because we know that if we have more meetings, it will end up in more opportunities and it will end up in more sales. But we didn't make a competition for the sales. We made a competition for the meetings, or also for the people that are not in the sales organization to contribute with something like you did a lot, by the way, thank you very much. It's to introduce your contacts, your friends, your ex-colleagues to the sales team. And that counts, right? So we also prepared that competition in order for you to feel valuable and in fact contribute to the business, and you may end up with winning the prize, because it was a lottery system that you can level the play field. Everybody can win. I can make 20 introductions or I can make just one, but I have my chance on that one, right? It's not a waste of my time, or I don't want to do it anymore. You want to feel engaged on that, right? So try something new. It might work, it might not work, but that's the beauty of it. Try.
Great points. And especially, I'll say the nice benefit about also doing a company and a one-day blitz or something like that is that even though it's only one day, the actual results can actually continue even after the fact. You can actually get some residual effects at the league. Yes, your team might not be as motivated, but the results will still come. And so there can also be a time delay on some of these things. And so anyway, I especially love number 8 because that's when we get to celebrate. It's when we get to come back and come together as a group and look at everything. And that's very much what we did with that company-wide blitz. We all came back together and said, this is what we collectively did as a group. And then this is how people were rewarded from it. Obviously, as we said, we ran a lottery competition as one.
Let me just add on this particular aspect that I think you touch in a very important point. There's a lot of companies that I'm sure some people here in the audience also make part of it that, you know, we did in our all hands. So if you have any type of events where you have a all hands or a town hall, depending on the terminology that you use in your company, but take that opportunity to share the results of the competition with all the organization. When we did this competition, and we're talking about a one-day competition, guys. So, and I think that this, for some of you, for sure, it's familiar. In one day, you know, we drive that meeting's outcome 9x, okay? Which is unbelievable. Of course, if we remember of what I mentioned before, the repetition fatigue, we should not expect to do in the day after another competition with the same format, with the same goal, and have the same 9x. You will not have it, especially if there's no surprise, if there's no surprise factor for the team, if they are already expecting that, you know what, now every Wednesday this will happen. Okay, so if I don't do it today, I know that I have another one next week. That is not the goal. You should do it in a surprise factor that, like we did, we had this worldwide and company-wide competition for one day for salespeople and non-salespeople, that everybody was engaged on that day. We canceled all the meetings, all the customer meetings. That was the focus. And that was the outcome as well, guys. Really recommend this approach. Thank you.
So I think this is a good time to wrap that up. So thank you, Nuno. That was a lot of great information that our audience can now apply within their own teams and within their own organizations. I mean, there's a lot of great tips in this, guys. And so at this time, I'm going to open up the call so that you guys can go ahead and ask any questions of us. As I want people to remind you, you can go ahead and ask any questions that you may have by going ahead and looking at the toolbar and then going to where it says a nice Q&A button. Click on the Q&A button, type it, hit send, and I'll make sure I read any questions that you guys might have from the audience. As I said, please note, all of your questions will be anonymous. So we'll make sure that they stay that way if you don't want to be saying your name. So, but at this time, I will start it off with a question for Nuno that I think is also very important because we talked about the timing factor of this and the whole idea around time and competitions. And so my question for you actually is, based on some of our own research, what is the worst day to start a competition? And what is the best day to start a competition? And why is that?
Well, that's a good one. That's a good one. But I think it's also quite logic what I'm about to eventually to share, because all of us, we always hear about also the Monday blues, right? So this Monday blues is always an issue because when we reach out the office, we just are eventually some tired from the weekend because of the kids or the day that we had, whatever. We arrive in the office, we have some backlog. It's not a good day for starting a competition. So this is what our data have showed us. The worst day to start a competition, Monday. Okay, so don't do that mistake, or if you can avoid it, because there's nothing good of doing a competition on Monday. All right, because if you think about on two ways, is that one is the reps to do it because they also have the backlog. The other is the people that you want to reach out to, maybe they also have their own Monday blues, so they may also not be available because they have something else to do. So avoid that. Monday's definitely the worst day. Wednesday's the best day to do a competition. Okay, so if you need to do a one day, man, do it on Wednesday. Okay, if you want to do it another short competition, well, maybe between Tuesday and Thursday or Friday, whatever, these 3-4 days is a good time frame, as I mentioned to you before, that we get this 92% of increase in terms of the activities. Try to target that period of time, but the best day, definitely Wednesday. And the reason being, well, because the backlog is gone, the mood from the weekend is gone. It's time for us to focus on what we need to achieve this week. So if we didn't do it before, we do it in the middle of it. Again, if you think about the top performers, these guys are killers. They do it Monday to Sunday, right? It never stops. It's 24/7. But the thing is, what you want to do is to have not only those top performers that they will always do it, you also want the middle performers to perform better. Instead of the 50% of achievement, if they become 70%, great. 80%, even better. And this is what you want to drive. So select the best time to run this competition, and the best day for it, Wednesday.
Excellent. So, I think this is actually, we have a question from the audience. It's from Gary. And so we might have to go ahead and get back to you on this one, but let's see what information we can get to you right today. So Gary asked, how many competitions are typical per month or weekly or daily? What would you have to say about that?
Well, I think it's a very good question. Okay. And basically here, there's not a one size fits all. And I guess this is exactly what we have explained before. You don't want to have a reputation fatigue. You don't want to give visibility to the team that every week you will have 3 competitions, and these competitions will be a 1 day or a 2 day. So what you need to do is, instead of saying what is the magical number for the number of competitions that you want to do it per week or per month, you should do is to check the gap analysis and check where you want to tackle on. What are the activities and the KPIs that you are driving? And with that, you can make one competition only, or you can make several competitions, because maybe the activity that you want to drive can be done by all the organizations. So maybe you don't want to have all the organization focus for 1 month doing this. Maybe you want to have just a couple of days or 1 day. So do it. But maybe that is just one, right? If it's a sales driven, maybe it will be maybe you want to have it, I don't know, 1, 2 per month. It depends, right? So it really depends on the KPIs that you want to affect, and is not a number game in terms of the more competitions you do, the more outcome you have. As we explained, we had this repetition fatigue that is a very important issue. that you don't want to end up to it.
Excellent.
I hope it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's see if any other questions. If you guys have any other questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat, as I said, in the toolbar or in the Q&A toolbar. But I will ask this question, and let's go ahead and pick this one. If there's only one or two things that our audience should take away from today's presentation, what should it be? Let's go with that one.
All right, cool. Well, I think that for us in SalesScreen, that is something that is in our culture. So I think this is what I believe it will be the takeaways that I would like to share with all of you as well. And for me, the number one factor is the transparency. It's really important to everyone to have visibility about the data from the company in terms of the achievements, where we are, because if I'm aware about where the company wants to be and where I am at this moment, I know that I can contribute more and I can do it. If I don't have any awareness about that, maybe I will be a little bit navigating, just trying to do the best that I can, but without knowing if I'm doing good or not, or if I need to push more or not, right? So the transparency and the visibility about the data is fundamental. Fundamental in my day-to-day activities, and even more important when I'm competing, right? Imagine the situation, and again, the football game as a coincidence, but imagine that you don't know the result of the game only when the 90 minutes are finished. And you say, okay, now you win or you lose. That's no point. The people need to see the result all the time. And whenever an activity or whenever a goal happens or scores or a point system, you want to know, because that's when you need to focus and get a grip and, okay, now I will make it, right? The same thing for tennis and etc. Right? So you need to have all this visibility and all the data, not only during your day-to-day activities, but especially when you are competing. Okay?
Great.
Second. Yeah, go. You want to say something?
No. Please go ahead. I want to hear
the second part is the fun factor. I'm a really big advocate of the fun factor, because, if you're doing the same old type of mechanism and sales approach, it's boring. And the fun, when you do it with more fun, I guess it was Steve Jobs that said that, right? If you do a job that you love, right, you don't need to work anymore, because you're just having fun doing what you are doing, right? So try to do the same type of things. Create different environments. Try something new. Experiment new games. And with that, this not only brings a different mindset in the culture of the company, but also makes the people, the reps, and all the rest of the organization also want to see, wow, that was cool. I want to have that as well, right? I want to know how you guys are doing. I want to have some fun as well. And with that, you don't have the typical problems in terms of talent retention or talent acquisition, because people are doing something different and fun, so they want to stay or they want to join, right? So that is, I think, the two things, fun and transparency.
Excellent. I think that's a really, really synthesized way to look at what they've ever been learned today. I actually we have another question that came in from the audience. It's from anonymous, but it's a very, very good question. And I think, it can be thought of as, something that we can offer in our platform, or just something just for people to just know in general. When we talk about prizes, for sure, people love to make more money, or to be rewarded with cash. But then what should or will be the alternative prize that you think will help all people that participate in any competitions? Meet a KPI, create new ideas, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow, that's awesome. That's an awesome one. Yeah. So what I would say is, what motivates you to compete is when you see that the reward makes sense to you, right? So if you have, we have in SalesScreen, we have a reward shop that is customizable. And that means that what we recommend to our customers is ask your employees what they would love to win. Okay. And tell me what is really maybe the most crazy and expensive thing that you think of. an average one, and a cheap one. And the cheap one can be, for someone to do some push-ups, as is familiar with you, Eric. So the push-ups in the next all hands meeting, right? That could work. So it doesn't need necessarily to be an expensive thing. You can have these funny ways of doing it, or bring some coffees, or have a day off, or buy, the typical AirPods, wherever you put it in that reward shop, right? That attracts someone, because that someone was the one providing that feedback about what he or she wanted to win. That will create such a strong impact when you are competing, because you say, okay, I want to win some points, or I want to win this competition, because you know what? I want to win that, that trip to Bali. I know that now it's not possible, but if you see that trip to Bali and you really are keen to go there, you want to do it. I want to go skiing in Japan. Boom, that could be something that is there on that reward shop. So make it personal, because if you ask your team what they would like to win, right? And then they see that as a possibility to achieve, that will be awesome. And the other aspect of this is, when we do these competitions, we can offer those items or those, let's say, products, but we also have a coin system. And these coins, you should see it as this way that you will accumulate the points throughout the competitions. And then by the end of the day, or the end of the month, or the quarter, you have accumulated a certain amount of coins that enable you to redeem the price that you want, the reward that you want. So this means that even if you didn't win any competition at all, you will be able to redeem the prize, or redeem the present that you really want to give to your wife, or to your kids, or to yourself. So that's a different way of seeing this reward system, instead of being just money, which it can also be. Can be some gift cards, can be effectively, some additional money. But this is a different way of doing it, that we really believe strongly that this is the best way of doing it. Just for the benefit of all the audience, we have a customer that he has a Tesla in the reward shop. Maybe that team needs to sell a lot, but it's there. It's possible.
It is possible.
It's possible. It's there.
It is. It's there. So people can go ahead and be working towards that.
Absolutely.
I like that, Nuna. And in our workshop, as you said, there's all sorts of different things that we have decided that we as an organization would want. And and I've seen there are many other ones that some of our clients and customers have. So you said, maybe getting a day off, giving push-ups to a fellow teammate, having them come get your coffee. I mean, I personally like, maybe having lunch with a senior leader, because obviously senior leaders are hard to get. So you offer up, we'll get a cup of coffee and you get one-on-one time, because I know a lot of time people just want to get that access. And so maybe you can redeem some things like that. So that's a really, really good point. And thank you, the audience member who asked that question. I think that was a really good one. So are there any more questions that are coming in from the audience? I'll give one more, few more seconds. It does not look like anymore. So, well then, I think it's about time we wrap this up. So,
absolutely.
Well, that's all we got for you here today, everyone. Before we sign off, I'd love to tell you about an upcoming webinar with one of our clients. I do know that this is not going to be on APAC time zone, so it might be a little, a little bit late for all of you. However, please note, if you do register for it, you will get the on-demand recording of it. So please join Demand Base's Kevin Rooney, Senior Director of Sales Development, and SalesScreen's Dana Mirabella, VP of Global Customer Success, as they discuss the tips and tricks on how to keep your sales development representative team motivated, engaged, and having fun. And so what I'm going to do right now is share that link in the chat so you guys can all have that. And so please go ahead and please look to sign up for that. As well as, if you would like to connect with either Nuno or myself, feel free to reach out to us via LinkedIn or email. You can see it on the screen right now. And if for some reason you cannot wait to speak with one of our sales gamification experts to hear how we run our competitions, and you'd like to set up a time to speak with us, I'm going to be sharing a link in the chat window as well for you to go ahead and be able to do that as well. So just go ahead and click on that link, fill out a form, and then set up a time with us. We'd love to be able to hear with you. So with that, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate you signing in, and we hope you learn how to create a fun and engaging sales competitions that triggers the competitive and playful emotions of your sales teams. We hope to see you again in a future webinar. Thank you very much, Nuno. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you, everyone.